What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I bring you news for Romancing SaGa UniverSe, and they just announced a new banner called Romancing Festival Furfur that brings monsters, yes, in playable forms. We already had many versions of Vampire Lady, but for the other two, they are brand new. There's no other event announced, but we'll probably get something, but only tomorrow we'll be able to see. There is also something related to the Google Play link account. They say that they fixed it for real this time. So if you are still having problems with your Google Play link, please see here on the comment section so that we can keep this in touch, since a lot of players were not able to play for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks even. But on the last live stream I saw many were actually able to make it work. There's also some community event happening right now, and you have to share your experience with SaGa UniverSe. You can participate via Facebook or Twitter. But now we are here on Reddit in a post by Hans43. As always, it translated the Taiwanese video and compared to the JP versions of the styles. And Furfur received some interesting buffs, but on the same time they are also strange. Furfur is a spellcaster and also has X attacks. That's why we have both intelligence and STR, with intelligence being the highest status. But we have very low endurance and even will to act as a real counter unit. Agility is just okay, as is the other status. On the turn begins, she gets a 50% increase in cold damage. It stacks up to 3 times for 150% on turn 3, and when she lands a cold attack, recovers 2 BP. That's important because her counter is cold. She starts the fight with 13 BP and buffs all of her status by 25% on the start of a fight. Then when she's attacked by a direct attack, she will reduce damage taken and counter with Icicle Attack. Icicle Attack is actually a spell that has triple S power, single target, and cold and slash damage. It's based on intelligence, so it's the higher status. For cold, we have the latest version of Fornews, a very strong cold counter specialist. For Slash, we have plenty of different counter specialists. There is a version of Furpina that also counters with both Cold and Slash. When you are using this spell on counter, you also get 2 extra BP because of that first passive. Now, when using skills, those are X skills, you grant yourself an attack boost that increases damage potential by 20%, lasts for 2 turns and stacks. These values are according to JP. And also buffs all offensive status, STR, Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence by 15%. Now, when using spells, will grant itself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 20%, lasts for 2 turns, and also stacks, and will buff Endurance, Will, Love, and Charisma by 15%. All defensive status. She needs because she starts with very low values. So, when you counter, you actually trigger the 2 extra BP, the defense boost, and the defensive status boost as well. So eventually she does get very defensive. She has intrinsic X4, that means 20% damage potential, 40% damage reduction when resisting, and 37% chance to evade resisted attacks. So it is just okay, and if you equip her well, she's going to receive less damage, but we do have many other counter specialists that already start super defensive and then just become more and more defensive as the fights goes. But since she's gonna be used on Remembrance, there's more stuff about the character that will work there. Skill number 1 is an X attack with Slash and Cold that is AoE for free. Just E-power though, it's like using normal attack versus many enemies, but it will trigger her offensive part, attack boost, and offensive status boost. Since this attack also has cold like all the others, she will always be getting 5 VP per turn. The second one is a roll attack that has cold and slash damage, and it's also fast. As powered, well, it's not strong enough to solo anything, so I don't know. Maybe it will help people with difficulty on Death Master Remembrance, if there are any. Then the third one is a 13 VP slash and cold attack that just has deep power. Okay. But before she attacks, she grants herself this attack boost. This increases her damage potential by 20%, lasts for 5 turns, can it stack with itself, will also recover her HP by around 1.2 thousand, and then she attacks again with Icicle Attack. This one will be a spell, so you get at least 1 trigger of all of her passives for 15% buff to all status, get your attack and defense boost, and you also get the extra 4 BP, because the first hit is slash and cold, and the second one is slash and cold again. So, it's strong, yes. It will feel like a 4S power attack easily. And she doesn't have that much defense, in my opinion, but her damage will be nice. She will have 170% damage increase by turn 3. And she just keeps getting attack boosts and all the other stuff. And it's using 13 BP in a turn that you get 7. So sometimes you'll be using this every 2 turns. And the character is useful because of X Remembrance, but I don't see people using this type of character in real challenges. We just got Julian, that's an extremely powerful counter unit that makes the party survive much better, so even though Furfur is okay and strong for Remembrance if you are needing help there, it's not someone that you'll be using on premium content. So if you consider the weapon type, this will be a triple S grade. If you just think it as a general unit, I'll think a SS plus grade is more than enough. For passives, by the end of a turn, she does not take any type of damage. She will grant heat up and defense up to herself and all surviving allies. This will increase damage potential and damage reduction by 5% for the whole fight. She also recovers the HP of all allies by the end of a turn by around 250. Then by the end of a turn, she recovers 2 BP and has a 37% chance to recover the HP of all allies again by around 250. And then her attack increases by 30% and she has 25% to evade enemy attacks. But guys, she has no real damage reduction besides that's defense up on the start of a fight. Look at her endurance. She's gonna die extremely fast in the current content. Skill number 1 is a 1 BP skill that has Pierce and Slash and recovers her HP by around 1.2 thousand. That's how she wants to stay alive, by self-recovering. No, if enemies do very high damage, she would still die, won't be able to recover. The second skill is single target, double S power with just 6 BP. That's okay, but this character has only 30% damage increase if she does not trigger her heat ups. Does not help at all. The third one is a 9 BP S power single target attack that is fast, can be used 5 times per battle. After she attacks, she enters this evasive stance for 1 turn, so she does not take damage or ailments in that turn. It's good because it does not use LP, and when the attack lands, she grants defense down. That decreases the defense of the enemy by 15%, can also stack, and that's it. Well, this unit is extremely bad. Sorry for those that like the character, but it's like a 1-year-old unit being released now. Okay, that the evasion is useful for Remembrance maybe, but everything else is just really bad. She has 1 heal by the end of a turn, she needs to not take damage, and that's how she actually does by using a 9 BP skill, because she's evading, she does not take damage, but 9 BP, she actually has 5 BP per turn, so in the next turn, what will happen? She's going to take damage. She wants to recover HP to not die, but she only has 5% damage reduction by turn 2. With 50% endurance, she's just going to die. This is a type of gimmick that you're forcing yourself in order to work, and in current challenges where we need multiple layers of defenses, well, this just simply doesn't work. She receives an SS- grade in the tier list. Then we have Pale Nymph, that is a staff user with wind spells. Her endurance and will are okay, her agility is higher, and intelligence 112. Nothing here is just too high. When she attacks, she recovers 2 BP and recovers HP by around 250, and also grants a target a Thorn Binding. This is a passive that will be inflicted in the enemy. When you attack this enemy will lose 5% intelligence and agility. It's kind of like Sunder It, but you are actually inflicting debuffs when the enemy has this effect. When at start of a fight, she gets 12 BP. By the end of a turn, has a 25% chance to recover HP by 1.2k and 3 BP. Yeah, she has a chance to get BP, but to recover as well. That's really old. Attack increases by 20%, and on start of turn, she grants herself this defense up, reducing damage taken by 10%, can stack 5 times per battle. So she also starts the fight with just 10% damage reduction and has to wait 5 turns to get into max potential. That will decrease damage taken by around 40% in the end. As for spells, the first one is 1 BP C power, and it does shadow damage, grants morale down small to decrease damage taken by 15%, lasts for 2 turns. It's pretty cheap for the cost, but morale down small, well, it's not that great. We already have medium effect. The second one is a 6 BP full AoE wind spell with slash damage, and there is a small chance to apply confusion and charm for 4 turns, and even unconsciousness. So 3 different elements, and confusion works for Wuhan, charm as well, and unconsciousness works for Siegfried. So made for remembrance, and we barely have content where to use this type of ailment anymore. Well, because it's 6 BP, you can actually use this AoE skill multiple times, and you'll be applying some ailments, but there's no hidden dojo anymore. When you are farming, the enemies are never able to be instant killed. There's also Albert and Death, they are on hold because they cannot do AoE instant kill anymore. So theoretically it's nice, but on practice it's really not working. The last spell is a 12 BP cost full AoE slash attack that is also fast. Before she attacks, she applies this Thorn Biting 7 times. So then she decreases intelligence and agility by 5% when you hit the enemy, like we talked about in the first passive. And since she already stack both effects, she will be granting 10 Thorn Bindings when she's using this. And since this is AoE, it will be for all enemies. And then she attacks. That means that in the attack itself, she'll be debuffing intelligence and agility by 5%. So other people in the party, when they attack, especially people like Leon, will keep debuffing intelligence and agility. The only problem is that you can get into overkill, and a boss may sometimes don't like to get too debuffed, but if he has the 5 weaknesses by the end of a turn, super good. You can debuff a lot, and then you decrease damage taken in that particular turn. But if the boss checks how much debuffs you applied before he even attacks, this is actually detrimental. It's not something that you'll be using much often. Well, the spell itself is a little too costly, 12 BP. She gets 5 per turn. There is a chance to recover 3, but it's just 25%. If you have someone in your party like Liz or Noel's daughter, this will be decreased to 2 turns always. So there is something here. The problem is that her morale down, it's not AoE like her third skill. So there's a conflict of design. But this type of debuff, like I said, can cause some problems, and it's not something that you'll be using much of the time. I think the character is easy to skip and will just receive an SS grade in the tier list. Well, these characters here are really skippable. In the end, I do think this banner has very low value. One of the worst banners we ever got in this year. And besides Furfur, that's even locked into remembrance most of the time, I don't see much usage for any of the other two. Pale Nymph is either very good or very bad in some fights, and Vampire Lady place in the meta is non-existent. Well, in the end, you should skip this banner unless you are a fan of the characters. I will only give it a bronze award. We have other banners going. Polka and Liz banner are going away. If you didn't got Liz yet, go for it. And even Aslana Melek offers more. But if you want to wait one more week to see what they have in store for Christmas, you are better off holding your chance. But that's my opinion for now. I'll see you in the final review. Please say here on the comment sections what you think about this banner, and I see you in the next video or live stream. Bye.